Hi everybody, welcome to the microwave cooking sessions. This is the Coalition to Stop Campus Hunger. We know a lot of students are really challenged by their methods of cooking, and so today we bring you a simple microwave cooking item, dish, and it is called sweet potato chickpea curry. So with a few tools, you'll be all set. So we're going to walk you through the process so that you can learn how to microwave a meal. Right, so a couple things with microwaves is that you've got to have microwave safe containers. So today we're going to use a microwave safe container as my metal bowl is not microwave safe. So the first step is going to be add your rice to that microwave safe bowl. This is basmati rice. And then we're also going to add 300 mLs of water, right? And then we're going to get that stirred up a bit. We don't have to rinse the rice, but we're going to put this into the microwave and cook it for about 8 to 10 minutes depending on your microwave wattage. And so I'll explain to you the microwave wattage when we get over to the microwave. When you go to cook your rice and you're gonna put it in a microwave safe dish like we mentioned, if you use saran wrap, what I would suggest is poke a hole in the saran wrap. Otherwise, as it cooks, it's just gonna suck down on top of your product. So give yourself a small hole or two, and then that way it can allow it to breathe a bit. If you have a microwave safe lid, that would be also acceptable. And then when you pull it out of the microwave, then you can actually let it sit and steam, because we really want it to steam and cook. I'm gonna put this in the microwave about 400 to 500 watts. So we're gonna talk about how to read your wattage on your microwave. So microwaves are fairly commonly the same. And what you'll do is in the inside of your microwave, you'll find that there's a wattage label. Make sure you check that, because most of your household microwaves are anywhere from 800 to 1200 watts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cook the rice at a lower power, so I drop it down because I want it at about 500 watts. So we're gonna cook this for 8 to 10 minutes. We're at the point now where we're gonna actually grate the onion and the garlic and the ginger. With great power comes greater responsibility. On your grater, you have possibly a box grater, which has different sides. What I want you to focus on for the onion is the larger hole. On your ginger and your garlic, you can actually use the smaller hole. Or you can use a zester. So these zesters are, again, meant for, they're microplaners, so they would do it very fine. As you can see, my ingredients, this was grated onion on the higher hole power. And then I did the garlic and the ginger using my zester or microplaner. So that will give you a finer product. We're gonna mix together our onion, and it was one whole onion. So we're gonna mix the onion, ginger, and garlic. And with that, we're gonna add the tomato puree. So we have 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. Now, the difference between tomato sauce and tomato puree, you might ask. Tomato puree is more of a richer flavor because it has more of the tomato product in it. The sauce has a little bit, it's thinner usually, it doesn't have as much consistency. So there is a difference between tomato puree and tomato sauce. So we have tomato puree for us today. We're gonna put 2 tablespoons of tomato puree into our mix. It's a little thinner than tomato paste, but it's thicker than tomato sauce. We're gonna mix that together along with our curries. Now we have a heaping teaspoon of curry. Mix that together. And then we also are gonna need a pinch of sea salt. You know, a good pinch. That's gonna give you a little bit of flavor. We're gonna check on our rice. We did it for the 8 minutes. Remember, it said 8 to 10. It really depends on your microwave wattage, your power that you set it at, and we're gonna look at it and see if we're good. One of the ways that I can tell right off the top is it's still very liquidy under there, but it's still very, we've got a lot of liquid to go. And I also had those holes in there so it doesn't like concave down into that. I'll stick it in for another 2 minutes, and I'll go up to, or I'll hit power 4 again. And then we're gonna see again, this might take you a little bit of time, but you don't wanna overcook it too fast and have it dry out and burn. We'll go ahead and let that cook. We've now got the onion, the garlic, the ginger, tomato puree, the curry, and I'm gonna also add the oil. And then I'm gonna mix this together. I'm gonna get that blended in a good mix. You just don't wanna have everything separated. So we're gonna mix that up together. It smells amazing. You might have to kind of smash through your ginger and your onion that has clumped up together a little bit. We have our mixture together. There is our tomato puree, curry, salt, onions, garlic, and ginger. All right, and then we're gonna cook this after we put the potato. So we have a sweet potato and we have a jalapeno pepper. What we're gonna do is we're gonna actually prick the green chili with a knife, put a few pokes into it, just so it doesn't explode, right? It's gonna build up some pressure. We're gonna set that into our dish and we're gonna add that to here. I think I'll cut off a little bit of my stem. Here, I'm gonna also prick my sweet potato. This has been washed, so make sure you wash your vegetables. And then we're gonna put that into our dish. Lay it next to it. We're gonna cover this with the plate or lid, or again, saran wrap. Cover that well, and then we're gonna cook that as well on high power now. So we're gonna cook it at higher power, about 800 watts. So depending on the wattage of your microwave, you may drop your wattage or your power down just a bit so that it's not super high. We're gonna, like I said, cover this with, poke a couple of holes in it, and then put it into the microwave. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right.
Wow.
So we cooked the rice. We did it initially for, I think we did it for the 8 minutes on power level 4. My wattage is 1200. We ended up doing it at a higher level and then it bubbled over. Don't be alarmed if at your higher powers you're gonna have that bubbling over of liquid. We wanna try and avoid that because then we lose some of our liquid, right? We did it for a couple minutes at higher power at 5. And then I realized it was bubbling over. So I brought it back down to 4, power level 4. And this is what we ended up doing. So we probably cooked this a total of maybe 12 minutes. You don't have to rush it. Give it time. We want to see that the water absorbed and we don't have any water left in the container. We're gonna let it just kind of steam and sit aside. All right, next we're gonna put in our potato, pepper, and mixture that we created with the tomato paste or tomato puree. We're gonna put this in the microwave and we're gonna put this one in for 10 minutes. And this is a wattage of about 800. So I'm gonna drop my microwave to a power level of 7 because we have to cook our potato. And then we're also, this jalapeno will cook and create a nice flavor. So I'm gonna go at a 10-minute and I'm gonna go power level 7. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'll check back at about 5 minutes, see where it is. We can check the tenderness of the potato. That's really what we wanna see, is that it's cooking down soft. And then we'll go from there. We're gonna check our sweet potato, and really what we wanna do is to see that consistency is fork tender, or I'll use a knife to check it. Watch out, your bowl will be really hot. See, and I can just put a hole through sweet potato. But if I want to get to that, I'm looking for kind of that fork tender, which it feels pretty good. And it's actually going to cook a little bit longer. You can kind of see where it is. So we got it, it's feeling done. And that was 10 minutes on power level 7, everybody. We're going to uncover it, and again, watch out because your bowl is really hot. Peel our saran wrap. And the benefit, like I mentioned before, the holes in it makes it so it doesn't suck it down on top of that food. Pull our saran wrap off. Whew, smells good. We'll take out our sweet potato and we're gonna cut this into chunks. Whether or not you peeled it or not, you could have left it whole. We're gonna leave the chili pepper in there because we're actually gonna keep cooking that. And then that'll come out at the very end and we'll use that as a spice additive. Our next step will be to cut the sweet potato into about, really think about bite-sized pieces so that you can eat it. Wow, that is perfect tenderness. So I'm gonna start out by cutting some circles. And we've got a little bit of toughness here, but I think we're gonna actually be cooking this longer for another 10 minutes, so it'll probably cook off just perfectly. So that's kind of where you're gonna look for that finished sweet potato. And I'm gonna make those chunks and we're gonna add that back into our dish. Okay. And you don't have to peel it, as I mentioned, but if you want to take peels off, you're welcome to. Remember, that's where all that good fiber and good nutritional benefit comes from, is the skins. Just know that this is going to be really hot, so use caution handling it. It's getting a little smaller on pieces, which is okay. That end is definitely softer than the middle. Just going to add that back into my mixture of tomato. Hard to believe we can cook all this in the microwave. How fabulous is this? Okay, so I'm gonna mix this back up. Look at my pepper is like shrinking out of its skin a little bit. So we're gonna mix this up again. And we're gonna add the chickpeas. So the chickpeas we'll have liquid too. So that liquid is also gonna help the finishing of that potato. So we're gonna keep our pepper whole. We're gonna add our chickpeas. So we're gonna put all this together. Make sure you get a big enough bowl, right, to start with. So this one is probably a quart sized bowl. Just double check and make sure your microwave safe bowl is big enough. So we're gonna mix our chickpeas in. You could actually reuse some of your, if you think about all the different containers that we have, as long as, if it's a plastic container, as long as it has the number 5 on it with the lines, the squiggly lines on the back, that will tell you that your plastic container is safe in the microwave. And then if not, use any kind of glass, or this is a Corelle dish that you can find at Walmart, that will work as well. But just always be careful it doesn't have any metal or metallic glaze on it. So we've got that together, we've got all the juice. We're gonna add the frozen spinach, so that's our last ingredient that's gonna go in there. And it has defrosted some, so it's a little soft. So we're gonna mix that in there. And our bowl is getting quite packed, so we're gonna mix that. So again, back at that power 7 for 10 minutes, we're gonna cook all of this together again. We'll take it out and see all the different components again, and also be able to adjust, taking that pepper out, and then we'll slice it up and add it for heat. That's our next step. Here's our chance. We're gonna check it out. We've cooked it for 10 more minutes on power level 7. What we're looking for is that it's kind of come together. My expectations is that our potato has cooked fully. But remember, this is gonna be very hot. And look at how beautiful that is. It's actually kind of steamed up together. Actually, even that chickpea liquid is less, so it's absorbed into the potatoes a bit. We're going to uncover it and check it out. In the meantime, you can also look at your rice at this point and check and see if it has steamed fully, which it looks beautifully steamed. And think about that, is we cooked our rice in the microwave. Most of the time we cook rice on a stovetop rice cooker, but look at that. How is that for rice cooked in a microwave? So now I'll pull the plastic off of my main dish here. I'm careful just because there's little holes that I've poked in here as well, just to have, so it doesn't steam out at you. But just be careful when you lift that off where the steam is gonna come up. So how does that look? We could check our potatoes and see how they are soft. So they are fork soft. If you poke it, that there's not much resistance to it. So that looks beautiful. We have others that are in the center. Check and see if they're fork soft. We're gonna mix this together. Kind of mix it all up. Put this, mix the spinach into it. We can pull our pepper out, so that has cooked up nicely. We poked holes into it, so one, it didn't blow up, and two, that it's actually kind of seeped some of those flavors out on my cutting board. And we're gonna add that back if we wanna consider the spiciness to it. It really depends on your preference, but everything is looking good. And if your potatoes feel a little bit firm still, you can cook it a little bit longer. It's all up to you, or if you want to make them, remember I started out a little bit on the firm side on some areas, so you could cook your potato longer in the beginning before you add your chickpeas. But here we go, mix that up. We have yogurt that we're gonna add as a topper, as well as our rice. Spoon it out into a serving dish. We also want to taste it, so we want to see if that is just the right flavor. So I'll do the brave thing and try it. I'm gonna let that cool a minute, and then we'll try it and see if we need to add any more salt, any more pepper. We're not gonna add any more garlic or ginger or any of that, but we definitely can check for that taste to see if it's tasty enough. I don't wanna burn my mouth, so I'm gonna blow on it. Yummy. So what you can do is add salt, seasoning, to your taste. Pretty good. I would probably add a little bit more salt, a little pepper. We do have yogurt coming in. Not much, probably another pinch. And then we'll mix that in. Maybe another pinch and a half. I'm gonna mix that in. And you really could use any kind of sweet potato. It doesn't have to be the white one that we use. This is more of an Oriental sweet potato, but you could probably even use Okinawan sweet potatoes, whatever you have on hand. So we've got that mixture, and then we're going to think about my pepper. You can make the decision on your pepper. If you want it spicy, keep the seeds. If you don't want it as spicy, then you can take the seeds out. So you could do a couple of ways of mixing it into there. You can cut it in half and then take out some of the seeds. You could basically scrape out You know, if you wanted to do half the jalapeno, but you can scrape out the seeds or you can keep them in. And then what you want to do is just do nice thin slices, skin and all. We'll mix that back into the curry. Put that on top of rice. So if we want to keep that spice factor, I'll leave in my seeds and scrape a little bit of that back into it. Are we game with seeds, everybody? Or are we game without?
We're game with seeds.
All right, so we're going for seeds. So we'll mix that in, and I didn't quite use the whole jalapeno. There's a little bit left. We'll mix that up. Then I'll serve it. I'm gonna put it into a dish. This dish you will have for your opportunity to take with your kids. So I'll add a little bit of rice. Another spoon. So we're gonna fluff up my rice. Rice bowl, fluff it up. It's nicely created. So we can put that into, we're gonna layer it basically. Rice on the bottom. Okay. Then you can add your curry on top of that. And we have yogurt to put on top. So this yogurt can be your topping, and you can decide if you want to mix it in or if you want to put it as a dollop on top, but we're going to add our yogurt back into the top. Stir it up a little bit. That as basically a garnish. And how about that? So, microwave chickpea curry. Great source of fiber, great source of vegetables, great use of vegetables, great use of the microwave, everybody. Don't forget, check out recipes. My way of checking out recipes, just a tip I have, I look up recipes, type in what you're looking for, and I look for ratings. If you find a recipe that has a whole bunch of people that rated it, and I'll go in and rate this one as well, which you'll have the connection to, but if you find that it's like, wow, and you've got a whole bunch of ratings, that's the ones I look for, because those are usually the tried and true. Try it once. If you don't like it, scrap it, right? So again, you can try and keep going and looking for those particular recipes, but don't be afraid to try new ones. And I hope you have fun with cooking. Bye everybody, until next time, take care.
Oh my God.